So what you're gonna need is these three a piece, and I use 1mm copper wire and 1.5mm copper wire. So this is what you're gonna need. You could use a smaller wire if you want to, and you could use a thicker wire if you want to. I just think these are the easiest to handle. And you could use a silver covered copper wire too. I usually don't use them because I find that the silver coating usually disappears after a while, and these I think get prettier over time. So what you're going to start to do first is you're going to take the thicker copper wire, and you're going to take a piece that you think is going to go around on the back of it and come up a bit. So you need enough that it's going to stick out. So I usually take, for the bigger pieces, I'm Scandinavian, so we use centimeters, decimeters. I usually take around 2 decimeters. That's 20 centimeters. Around this. Then I just bend it to get the proper shape. It doesn't really matter if it's not completely a perfect shape, because when you put the smaller wires to make the tree on the backside and then you secure them, they're gonna pull it out a bit. So you start with this shape, because I have a bigger mold, and you see it's quite big, so I'm gonna need to make it a bit smaller. Like that. It could be smaller too if you want, but I'm not that picky when it comes to this. I usually just let the moment take its place. And then when you have a shape that you're satisfied with, you make the upper part. So you get kind of a pineapple looking thingy. I made mine quite small. They could be bigger than this. So it looks kind of like this. Now is the part that I make the necklace coil. So I take this one and I uncoil a bit. I don't cut it off because I never know how much big of a coil that I actually need, and you don't need to cut it off. And this way you don't have any you don't have that much waste. So you take your finger and then you put the thumb on the end of it. I use my point finger as just to secure it, and then you start coiling it around. After a while, this is what you're gonna get. Let's see if I can just... I can't. You could need to push it down a bit, but that's what you're gonna get. And then you continue until you have like that much up. So I'm just gonna do it a bit off screen so I don't bore you to death. So I made it up a bit, And this is what you're gonna end up with. So when you're happy with this, with the length, you're gonna need a bit. I like mine to be a bit longer. You're gonna secure this bit first. So I just wrap it around a bit until I'm satisfied with how far down it is. And then you cut it off, and then you just push it back down so that it lies down. And you make sure that the one up here is on the same side as the one you just cut off, because that's going to be the inside, the back side of it, so that that never accidentally cuts you, because this wire can get quite sharp. So we're just going to cut that off on the same side, and then we're just going to bend that down too. So now we're stuck with this. What I do when I'm at this stage, I like to make this a prettier shape, because now that it's stuck together, you can change the shape of it. So I just remodel it a bit. Sorry for making most of it off screen. So this is what you're going to end up with. So now I do this. I put it on the back of it. I make sure that I know which piece is going to be up and which piece is going to be down. So that's going to be the top of my jewelry. And now that I know that, I'm going to bend this. One way you could do it is you could take a pen, put it under, and then bend it over the pen. I like to cut that out, put the back piece out a bit, then I just bend it. When I'm here, I just push it back, so you get this shape. So it becomes a bit like this. Now I like coils on my jewelry pieces. You don't have to do this. You'll find that a lot of others, they make their backsides different. But I like coils on mine because I think it's pretty on the back and they're easy to secure. Just gonna bend it a bit. So we have like the start of a coil. Then you take this and you just bend it up. So you get like that. And then the other side, I like to bend it along a bit. I'm going to make it a bit shorter, we don't need that much. And then you start bending it the other way. Like that. And here we have our backside. So it's going to be like that. And this from the front. Now is the part where I do something different. I take silver tape, about this big. And then I just make sure that this is where I want it to be. And then I use the silver tape to secure the upper side to make sure that I have this bit unprotected. so that I can put the smaller wire through it. So now it will stay in place when we bend the tree's shape later, because we need to have the shape of the tree done before we take this off, because then we never damage the stone. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take the smaller wire, this one, and you're going to get a length that is, I usually take around 15 to 20 centimeters, depending on the size of the stone, because you'd rather have a bit too much of it than too small. And when you cut these, each of these are gonna become 2 branches. So the one I watched and the one that I've followed since is you always want at least 16 branches, so you're gonna want at least 8 of these cut up. I usually, when it's a big stone, get about 20 or 24 branches, because I think that takes up more of the stone and you can make a prettier tree. So I'm gonna make that off screen and then I'm gonna come back to you. So I have cut up 11 of these, so I have 22 branches. So what you're gonna do now is you're gonna fold each one in half. I like to do it one by one, because then I know that I'm getting a good shape of them. So I start to do like this. I make sure that they are nice and somewhat straight. Then you take this and you just pinch the upper side a bit to get like this, and then I forgot one step, you need to push this out a bit, and then you're just gonna make that go on there, and you're gonna do the same with the other ones. I can show you with a few more. Like that. And it doesn't matter if they're not completely straight, as long as you can get them on. If I don't get like a good shape up here, I'll just make it a bit better. And then you push it. And then you do the same with all the other ones. You can push them down a bit there if you want to, and pull them out a bit to just get them the same shape. And then you do the same with all the other ones. So I'm going to make the other ones off screen and then come back to you. So after you have folded all the wires and you put them in place, this is what you're going to end up with. So you're just going to put a thumb on the back side. You're going to hold these and then you're going to fold them. This is why you have the tape, to make sure that this doesn't move. And you're going to fold them over the edge like that. And then you're going to take this and you're going to wrap it. So you get like this. I usually do like this, that when I'm here, I take out some branches. And then I keep wrapping the bigger one. Then I take out a bit more branches. How many branches you take out is up to you. I usually take out about 3 here on the first one. Then I take 4 on this one. because I don't like it when it's totally symmetrical. And sometimes I just take 2. It depends on what shape of the tree that I want to. Every tree is... I usually don't make them the same because I like that they look different. And then you keep turning the big one. Then I'm gonna take out, I think 4 there. And I'm gonna take out 3 on this side. I usually try to make sure that they're next to each other, that I don't take a wire that's gonna make the tree look weird. So I'm gonna take those 3. Then I'm gonna twist the big one again. Like that. And I'm gonna take out, how much was it? That was 4. Gonna take out, actually gonna take out 5 on that side and leave 3. No, I'm gonna do 4, 4. Like that. So this is what you're gonna end up with now in the beginning. So what you do now is you're gonna twist each one of them. Like that. What I like to do is I like to leave one of these alone, so I'm just going to continue twisting 2 of them, because that way you get like one complete branch and then it separates like it would in a real tree. So we're just going to continue twisting it. Like that. And it doesn't matter later if you think that you've twisted it too far, because you can always uncoil it a bit and then you get a nice twirl to it. And you're gonna do the same with the other ones, so I think I'm gonna just speed this up a bit. So this is what you're going to end up with when you're done. Well, it's not going to look exactly like this, but you get my drift. So now is the part where you're going to make the tree branches a bit prettier, or make them go into the way you want them to. So I usually just coil mine. I bend them a bit You can always, I usually do this a bit now to just get the shape that I want, and then I redo them later. So what you're gonna do now is you're gonna fold this back. So you get it like this, and here you can see why you should why I keep the tape, because this is all roughed up from bending the tree. So you're gonna take this off. So you still have a smooth rock. And if you have some finishing touches on your rock to do on the front, you can still do them. Like if you need to dome it up again because you got a scratch or something. So you bend this back, and then you just pop the stone back where you want it, so that it is in the center. You put your fingers on the back, and then you secure it on the front with your thumb. And then you find the one up here that you want to be in the center. I'm gonna take that one from that one, and then I'm gonna fold it up a bit, take it back, put it underneath that one, pick it back up, and then I'm gonna not pop it out, and then I'm gonna pull a bit. Make sure that you pull a bit, but not too much, because then you can break the wire. And then you do it the same. Thing. And then you do it the same thing. This is why I don't have a camera, because I usually do wide movements, like I just knock the camera off. And I usually do it 4 times. You don't have to, you can just do it once, or you can just do it twice. But I recommend doing it more than once, because it'll fit nicer. And the back side will look better if it's a bit symmetrical on the back, at least. You're just gonna make sure that it fits nicely. And then I cut them off, because I don't want to spear myself. Then you make sure that it's still in the middle. Then I take the one that's going to go on the other side of this one, just so that I have it secured, so I don't have to hold my thumb there anymore. So I fold it upwards a bit, like I did there. And then I do it the same, and I fold it upwards so that I can catch it there. So you just pull it into place, and then you do the same thing. I'm gonna do it 4 times. 2, 3, 4, and then you cut it off. And what's important now is that you take the branches that you want to come next to it. So I never do them in the right way, because I usually like to make them I like to make them go different paths of each other. So So we can do this side next. I'm gonna show you a bit, then I'm gonna do the rest on speedy camera. I'm gonna do that one next. Then you're gonna pull a bit, not too much, because then I'm gonna knock the camera again. Pull it up, make sure not to get the coil on the back, because you're not securing that yet. That could depend on where your coil on the backside is. If you have it more to the front, you could secure it now, but mine are further down. With some shapes that you do this, you have to do the sides somewhat together. So you do one on the side, then you do one on the other, because otherwise it can pop out. So now we're gonna do that one. I'm going to show you that. Then you pull it a bit, and you do this again. I'm sorry for the very boring long video. I will hopefully speed up a bit while editing. Now those have coiled a bit. We're actually going to do this one from the next branch instead of the one we have left. You're going to take the small wire, then you're going to take it, put it in the coil, and then you're going to pull it back. I have too much light in my room, so it's not showing as good as I want it to. There. Then you're going to do the same. Put it up through the coil, and now you're sticking the coil to the ends. What could happen is that you need to, like that, and then you catch it. My fingers are in the way, and I just popped the camera again. Take this one, put it back through. My wire's too small. What could happen after you bend it a few times is that the wire is gonna snap because it's too brittle. So be careful. So you're gonna end up with something looking like that. What you see now is, since I have only done that side, it drags a bit over here. But when you're gonna do this side, you're gonna pull on that side too, so it's gonna become more center. So I'm gonna do a bit on this side too now, so that we can just get it back on show. I'm gonna do the rest well on camera, but I'm gonna Speedy Gonzalez this. What you see now is that I have more branches on this side, so I have less side here left. So I'm gonna need to do 2 coils instead of what I usually do 4, so that I can fit all of these that are left here on this side. And I'm gonna need to do more on this side so that I can take up the entire space, because I like to take up all of the spaces. But since I don't do my trees symmetrical, it usually takes a bit less on one side and a bit more on one side. So I'm gonna do that off camera. So what you're gonna end up with is something that looks like this. And the front side looks like this. So what you're gonna do now is you're gonna start with taking this tool, and all the small edges that you left while cutting it off, you're just gonna bend them up a bit so that they're not as visible. Some wait to cut them off until they're at this stage, but I don't like to do that because then I find that they often get in the way when they just sprout out. Sometimes I do this process right after I cut them. Just because it gets easier. So now we have this, and we have the front. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get the branches to the shapes that we want them. I usually use the other branches to push them into some kind of shape. So we have something that looks a bit like this. Like that. What we're gonna do now, because I don't like to have them straight, is that I am gonna coil them around the tip of this one, just to get a wavy shape around all of these. Gonna do like that with all of them. Be careful when you do this, because sometimes the tip can run over the wires, and sometimes it can make the wire snap. When that happens, it's sad. So now you just do this with all of them, and you be careful so you don't snap them. Like that. I'm just going to do the other ones quickly. So now that you have the shape, you have them coiled, you can just take one final look to see if you want another shape to your branches. I am actually quite happy with the shape of mine at the moment. Something like that. If you want to, you can also do the same with the roots. I can do a little bit of just movement to mine sometimes, but I find since I actually wrap mine quite closely to the edge, I can do more damage down here than would actually be good for it, so I just do it a bit without taking too much pressure on them so that I don't accidentally snap something. So now we are done. We have this. If you want to, you can oxidize it. I do that with mine. There is some spray lacquer that you can put over it. I haven't bought that yet, so I can't show it to you. What I do is I have a gel that I put on the back. I oxidize it and then I put the gel or resin on over the coils on the back, so that this part that touches the skin has a cover over it, so that the oxidization never touches the skin, so it can't color you. So when you have this and you oxidize it, wait, I'm just gonna go get the other one. When you oxidize it, it looks a bit like this. So here's before and here's after. The reason why I like this is because it gives shadows on the parts that's behind, and it gives nice cool shadows. And this one has the same amount of wire. This also has 22 wires, 22 branches, so 11 wires. And here's the back on that one too. So that's my design. I quite like them, and this one has a bit more coil on the down part. So I'm hoping that this was a good video to show. Since it's my first one, I'm not that great, but hopefully you learned something that you can take to your own. If you have any questions, you can just post them in the down below. So have fun, and don't be afraid to put your own touches on it. I did, and I like them. Like, this is the easy head to do. You can make them more outward if you want to. You can make them smaller if you want to. It's just the way that I like them, because I think it looks pretty. It looks neat. So have fun, and as I said, don't be afraid to put your own spin on it. Bye bye.